Good evening. Thank you all for joining this Zoom tonight. We're very excited. My name is Deb Gerard, and I'm the Executive Director for Impact Melanoma. We are an organization that focuses on early detection, prevention, education, with a good amount of support for melanoma patients and their families. We're very excited about partnering with DIG and all of the students in these chapters across the country, because we believe that this is the best way for us to get our message out around the issue of what do we need to do to reduce the risk of skin cancer and melanoma. We have a variety of programs that I'm going to run through with you. And in the course of the next hour, you will meet the rest of our staff and be able to have a Q&A so that we can find out some about what you're all interested in. So to get started, one of the things that is very important to us is this idea of Sun-Safe 365 leadership. This is the reason, if you could all put yourself on mute, that would be great. I think the very important thing for us is identifying student leaders across the country who are willing and able and passionate to deliver the programs that we have in our inside of our umbrella of programs. And I'm going to take you through them quickly, and there'll be an opportunity to go to our website, learn more, and we'll have some interaction. One of our oldest living programs is called Your Skin is In. And this was a program designed initially to get teens to pledge not to use indoor tanning or outdoor tanning for their prom. So it was initially a program focusing on high school kids. Over the last several years, we've rebalanced that program to also include middle school students and some college students through our Skin Smart Campus program. What I'll say about this program, and the reason that we are always so excited about it, is that it's an opportunity for us to bring ambassadors to schools. We have an e-learning program that is really fabulous, and I would ask all of you who are interested to go to the website, sign in, and take the e-learning course. You'll love it. It's interactive and updated pretty regularly. So we think that this is an opportunity for DIG students to go to classrooms, to engage teachers, and to work with kids in bringing these messages to help students learn to love the skin that they're in. Also, a secondary program for us is called Your Skin is In. And Amy Mason, our program manager, will talk more about these programs, but this is another really great program for DIG students to get involved in, because we train beauty professionals, hairstylists, massage therapists, tattoo artists, if you name it. If they look at your skin more than your doctor does, this is a really good opportunity to engage people in this program. We love to work with beauty salons and find ways of getting dermatology practices to bring these programs to their communities, to get all of these professionals to take this class that will teach them the ABCDEs and how to look at new and evolving moles and lesions that their clients might have. Because as I said, very often these beauty professionals see your skin more than your doctor does. And I can tell you that there are countless times that participants have come back and said, if it hadn't been for my stylist, my esthetician, whatever, taking that program and talking with me about what they saw, I might not be alive. So really impactful program. Practice Safe Skin, which Lori Seavey, our program manager, will talk about, is our program that deals with our sunscreen dispensers. And you'll see several versions of our sunscreen dispensers coming up in the presentation. But in general, in 2015, we began working with the city of Boston and bringing sunscreen dispensers to the city in lots of outdoor places, because we believe that providing sunscreen to the community would impact skin cancer rates. And in fact, one of the early promoters of our sunscreen dispensers was none other than Marge Simpson. And in an episode of The Simpsons, Marge came to Boston and said, sunscreen dispensers, how impressive. So how progressive. So sunscreen dispensers, we've placed more than 5,000 dispensers across the country. We believe, again, that this is an incredibly hands-on place for DIG students to get involved with your communities, with your colleges, to work with them to bring a sunscreen program to their community. And the other part of this program is training for outdoor workers. So you'll hear more about this as well, but lifeguards, key in providing, getting work education for outdoor workers and anybody that's outdoors. We do a lot of work during the month of May, not only because it's Melanoma Awareness, but because the first week in May is also Safety Week, and getting construction workers and engaged in looking at how they protect themselves outdoors from their long days in the sun is a really important piece of work that we do. Earlier this year, we started a new project called No Sun for Babies. And we started this program because we believe that the issues around sun protection need to start at the very beginning, and that we know that the issues around sun protection for infants to age 6 months are very different. And we've partnered with Cooley sun protective clothing company, to provide sun protective blankets for strollers and car seats, educational materials for newborn parents. We try to work with hospitals and healthcare delivery systems to get these programs in the hands of parents before they leave the hospital. So again, this is a program that we get out with customized billboards. We're looking at, is this a project that we can have some fun with, that we can do some wraps on buses, and look at other ways that we can promote the beginning of a sun-safe journey for families. So as I said before, we also have a support system. We have a social worker who provides support group for melanoma patients and their families. We have support group leaders across the country. That now one of the silver linings of the pandemic was that we moved many of our support groups to online, and they've been able to flourish during this time. So we have support groups for melanoma patients. We have support groups for caregivers, and we have a program called Billy's Buddies. And this is an advocacy program for melanoma patients. And we try to provide some financial support to help out with things that traditionally are not covered by other providers. So it might be parking at a medical center, could be a number of things, but that's another program there to provide some advocacy for melanoma patients during this difficult time. And lastly, I'll just talk a little bit about something that we're taking on that's very new. We call it Impact Shade. And we began thinking that there is an intersection between UV, heat, and climate change. And we believe that shade is a big piece of this puzzle. We understand that in cities and towns across the country, that there are heat islands, places in cities where there is just no shade, and lots of asphalt and higher temperatures than in other parts of the city. So we are embarking to learn as much as we can about shade equity, because when we are out there promoting how do you stay safe in the sun, one of the things that we like to say is seek shade. Easier said than done for so many people across the country. So we're looking at things like finding funding to provide 10 by 10 temporary shade structures. We're looking at umbrellas for lifeguard stations. We're looking at ways that we can add shade to Little League parks and soccer fields and places that we could provide shade structures with chain link fences. So lots of things going on, including working on an art installation that will be functional, will provide maybe sunscreen, shade, and an ability to teach people about the issues of shade equity. So that's the newest of our offerings at this point. And with that, I'd like to move the slide and introduce Lori Seavey, who is the manager of our Practice Safe Skin program. Lori?
Hello, everyone. I see some familiar names in the group, so welcome. My name is Lori Seavey, program manager for Impact Melanoma. Practice Safe Skin really has been my baby since its infancy, and it's now 5 years old. It's really, really kind of hard to believe that our program has 5 years old and with over 6,000 sunscreen dispensers across the country. One thing I want to say about the presentation that we bring to you tonight about our programs and how you can get involved is that you're not alone. This is really a collaboration between Impact Melanoma, you as medical students wanting to provide prevention in your communities, and really start your journey as teachers and advocates as you're working on your careers. So Impact Melanoma is here to guide you along the way and really provide these resources that are needed for success. So I thought I would talk about a couple of our successes for the programs that I manage. So Practice Safe Skin is our sunscreen dispensing program. It's quite popular. This year, we've worked with several DIG students. So if I don't name you, please don't be offended. One of them who you'll meet later tonight is Chris Fay. He actually is Impact Melanoma's National Medical Student Volunteer Manager. Chris is a super achiever that came to us, last year, and I'm not going to spoil his story because it's an amazing one. And he spearheaded in record time a sun-safe leadership city that incorporated all of Impact Melanoma's programs. So I'll leave that story for him to tell. But the next photo that you see here is University of Michigan. And it's interesting how these programs come to us in different ways. Sometimes they come from advisors. This one came to us from Tammy Chang. She's a family doctor and a researcher who's really passionate about helping young people stay healthy. So she contacted Impact Melanoma. She was working with an organization called My Voice. And she introduced us to two passionate fourth-year medical students, and Ariana Strom and Kelsey Hebert, who brought 10 sunscreen dispensers to their athletic fields, and they partnered with the Rogel Cancer Center and brought also sunscreen dispensers to the big house. So Impact Melanoma helped and worked with them and provided materials to solicit sponsors. We attended Zoom calls together, and we facilitated answering questions that we don't expect students to know, that, such as, what happens when somebody, uses the sunscreen dispenser and maybe think that it's not sunscreen and it could be mustard. And believe it or not, that did happen once. So we work with organizations that we facilitate the risk management and all of the program related logistic items that are needed. Next slide, please. This is Sarah Milan. She's now a physician. She was worked with us for a few years at George Washington. She created a group called Learn to Derm. And Sarah hosted 3 community-wide health fairs where she brought sunscreen dispensers and education to the Washington area. She partnered with the Rodden Institute. She was extremely successful in her chapter at GW, and also with her group, and facilitated Impact Melanoma's programs there. SIU, they're really the trifecta. They brought, I think, 3 of our programs. They started out with our sunscreen dispensing program. They're extremely an active dig chapter and really have learned the art of sustainability. And that's one reason Impact Melanoma stays very involved with your projects, is as you continue on your journey, sustainability for these programs are extremely important. So we work with a lot of 3rd and 4th year students. So having tools and resources and communication and an advocate advisor at your school and connecting Impact Melanoma with the sponsors that you work with is really important for sustainability. So SIU, they hosted 10 sunscreen dispensers throughout pools. They added a few each year. They facilitated education to camp counselors and youths, and they've been extremely successful. Next slide, please. So these are our 2 different types of sunscreen dispensers that we currently are working with. The one on the left was our UMass Chan model. It's an Impact Melanoma sunscreen dispenser. We use an SPF 30 broad spectrum 100% natural sunscreen. And then we also have an option that's a foot pedal for a foot pump. It's 100% stainless steel. We're using currently Panama Jack sunscreen in there. It's water resistant, broad spectrum UVA and UVB protection. And this is actually, this is one of the Marie Thistle, who is an advocate for Mass General Brigham when we were participating in one of our health fairs. So these are the types of sunscreen dispensers that you'll see with our Practice Safe Skin program. Next slide, please. This is our Safe Skin at Work. Safe Skin at Work is really an easy program to manage if you don't have a lot of time to kind of do a lot of outreach to sponsors looking to place sunscreen dispensers. Safe Skin at Work is really can be delivered in multiple ways. We offer toolbox talks that you can provide to construction companies. We work with safety officers. As Deb mentioned, May is Melanoma Awareness Month in conjunction to Safety Week. And safety officers are really keen at this time of the year to really bring as much safety to the work site. So construction sites, anything that may be going on campus. If you have any construction on campus, this is a great opportunity to kind of get in touch with the construction companies and kind of hone in on the safety officers. UMass Chan and Chris Fay, he educated multiple outdoor workers with Impact Melanoma's offerings. So we offer a toolbox talks, and also we have a Safe Skin at Work video that can be used in lieu of an in-person training or a Zoom training. So that can be really helpful in onboarding folks. So, we could do a one-time training, but when we have other folks that are, working in a municipality that come on throughout the year, Impact Melanoma offers a video program which will onboard them so that we can keep all outdoor workers safe all the time, not just one time a year. And also there are other organizations such as Work Inc. that we've educated with medical students where we provided, this is an organization that provides services to adults with disabilities. So they were very interested in educating their staff on how to manage their adults when they're out. And also we gave the talk to the caregivers for that particular set of adults as well. So it was pretty popular program. So next slide, please. Who doesn't love babies? So this is our No Sun for Babies program. We've had extreme success with medical centers sponsoring these programs. We're working with the Medical University of South Carolina, working with Laura Andrews there and her team, her DIG chapter team. to provide 100 No Sun for Babies backpacks to the Sean Jenkins Children's Hospital. So in these backpacks are our No Sun for Babies blankets. We offer a welcome card. We also offer the opportunity for the healthcare system to provide anything medical related into the backpack. So this kind of tends to lead to other services that might be available for parents or youth. And we also can work with maternal health services within the health department of the state that you're working in to add additional resources for these parents that they might not know about. UMass Memorial Health also participated in this program, providing 100 bags to UMass Memorial. So we're really excited about this program. And again, no heavy lifting. Impact Melanoma works on the deliverables. You're the lead in the project, the ambassador, and we're really the experts in the program. Next slide, please. This is Impact Shade. So like Deb mentioned, this is our newest program. It's gaining popularity. People love it. I challenge any student that is passionate about providing shade to their community to help with us, and we'll tell you how later. We easily can provide tents, 10 by 10 tents to Boys and Girls Clubs, umbrellas for lifeguard stands, and then there's also larger projects such as shade sales that can be utilized in new construction that the municipality might be thinking of doing, or even your own campus. If there's opportunities around campus where there's a spot that shade might be able to be provided, that's also another opportunity. But these 10 by 10 tents are particularly popular, and we try to include a side on there so that it can cast more shade. And really, opportunities for sponsors love that because it kind of casts a broader net for marketing. What we've learned throughout the past 5 years is all of these programs are opportunities for sponsors as a marketing platform. So that is where, when you're reaching out to folks that might be interested, it's really, yes, they're doing, we're serving the community, providing shade, providing sunscreen, but for the sponsor, it's really a marketing opportunity. So I'm going to pass the torch over to my partner, Amy Mason.
Thanks, Lori. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to have you here with us tonight. One of the things I'm going to be talking about, I guess I should just, I know Deb introduced herself, but I'm the event and program manager. Been with organization for about 15 years now. I love it. It's a wonderful nonprofit, so we're super excited to have you all here with us. So the two programs that I work with are, the first one is Your Skin is In. And Your Skin is In is an interactive program that is available to teachers and students through our e-learning course. It's aimed at teens and young adults, typically middle, high school, and college students, to learn about the importance of skin health and to create awareness about the dangers of tanning beds and sun exposure. We hope that many students are not using tanning beds as much as they were several years ago when we began this program, but it's still out there, and we still like to provide education about that. The program features an e-learning course lesson. It's available for teachers and or dermatology students to present virtually in the classroom or in person as COVID allows. Students are also welcome to take the course on their own as well, so they can log into the website and take the course. The program is designed to be interactive and fun, while at the same time is sharing important facts and information on melanoma preventions. For Your Skin is In, there are 3 different sections to the course. The first one is a super fun Jeopardy style trivia game. We have a lively host that presents, and it sounds just like the real trivia Jeopardy game. And it's filled with melanoma facts and can be used in individual mode or as a team, allowing presenters to split the class in half and make it competitive if they like. The game keeps score on its own, and a bell or a buzzer will let you know if you are right or wrong, which is really fun. Then there's also, as part of the e-learning lesson, there's 3 short interactive video scenarios that students can watch and then answer questions throughout. And the 3 sections are called A Day at the Beach, so all about learning how to be sun safe on the beach. And it's just a really fun interaction between 2 teens who spend a day on the beach together, one being sun smart and the other not being so sun smart, and she teaches him a lot. And then Athletes Under the Sun, and then the last one is called The Perfect Tan. So there are 3 really fun interactive videos that they get to watch, and as I mentioned, ask questions as you go along, and you either get them right or wrong. And then the 3rd section is called Exposed. And if you have ever taken a look at a UV facial scanner, this section will show you, it sort of mimics those results. So the class is shown a variety of different photos of teenagers' faces. We went to a school and took some photos of all different types of teens, different skin types and everything. And so it shows a picture of their face, and then when the photo flips, it then shows the same student, but with their photo taken under a UV ultraviolet camera. And so it shows all the UV damage that that person may have. And then each student includes the history of sun behavior. So yeah, I used to go to the beach all the time, or hey, I was never even out there, but look, here's the damage that I still have. So it's really interesting. All 3 of those sections are super interactive and fun. And the course is available on our Impact Melanoma website, and people can register to use the course. And once they do, we get a notification, and then we send them, if they request it, a box filled with goodies, posters, t-shirts, all kinds of fun things. And then in hopes of the student or teacher continuing to share that information throughout the school. And let's see what else. The course is, the course is available in both English and Spanish, FYI, which is kind of interesting. And we've had a lot of, big universities use it, as well as many smaller schools all across the country. So that's our Your Skin is In lesson. And then the next program that I wanted to talk to you about today is called Skinny on Skin, that Deb mentioned too. So this program is a skin cancer prevention program aimed at beauty professionals who examine their clients' skin, and typically are the ones that see their customers more often than even they may see their dermatologist or their doctors. So, you might get your hair cut once a month, but maybe only visit your dermatologist once a year. And so these people are really getting to know your moles. And this can include your hairstylists, barbers, estheticians, nail technicians, massage therapists, even tattoo artists, athletic trainers, and more. Any professional who is looking at their client's skin. So the Skinny on Skin is also in an e-learning course, and it teaches people how to recognize suspicious moles on their client's skin, so while they're performing their salon services. The e-learning course includes training on the different types of cancers that they may see, and how to recognize which moles are normal versus which moles are abnormal moles. And then not only that, but how to talk to their client about them and how they should be referred to a healthcare providers for further care. So we're not asking these folks to make any diagnosis or anything like that, but just to say, hey, listen, I notice you have a funky spot on the back of your neck. I think you should get it checked. Here's why. And then after completing the course, users can request to receive a post-course envelope, which gives them some more information and goodies that we have, as well as, like the ABCDE cards and mirror cling that they can put up, and and then they get a certificate too that they can hang up at their shop. So it's a really popular program for us. We also do a pre and post course survey, which is given as part of the course, and we work with Oregon Health and Science University for analysis and updates to the course as well. So we're always keeping that up to date. And we recently started a Facebook group for anyone that's taken the Skinny on Skin course, in hopes of trying to gather some ambassadors that might be interested in getting more involved and spreading the word in their community about the course. And we'd love to have DIG students get involved by bringing both these e-learning lessons to your communities. That's all I got. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Amy. So yeah, that's been a really sought after program, which is Amy, mentioned. So I hope you all take advantage of that as well. So my next slide here, hold on, everyone went blank. So my next slide is our May campaign. I'm really super excited to talk to you tonight about a special project that we're hosting in May for Melanoma Awareness Month. I was contacted about a month or so ago, so we're still in our planning stages, from Georgina Sullen. She's a third-year student at Vanderbilt University. She plays tennis. She's dating a tennis pro, and she is extremely excited to host an event in May for Impact Melanoma called #ServeYourSkin. So we are hosting a tennis tournament at Vanderbilt, or Georgina is hosting a tennis tournament at Vanderbilt. She has compiled testimonials from professional players, local students. Impact Melanoma will be the host for registration, will be the fundraising arm, and we would love all of you to get involved. If you are passionate about tennis or have a tennis league at your school, this would be a great way to get involved, to be a leader in your group, and to really raise funds for a worthy cause. As you saw, all of these funds will be going towards our programs so that we can bring more programs to communities. So we really hope that this might be something that you'd like to get involved in. We've currently have had a few inquiries from Harvard. They're actually looking for getting other local schools in the Boston area involved, and getting dermatologists involved. So it really could be fun. Impact, as I said, will manage all the logistics. You will manage the tournament. We'll have a toolbox kit for you to use. We'll host meetings. So this would be a great opportunity to get involved if you're passionate for tennis or know somebody that is. Next slide, please. So we're really looking forward to making an impact together. We're going to put a form in the chat, and there's also a link in this presentation. And the link will also be included on DIG's website under Impact Melanoma. This form will give us some information about you, where you go to school, what programs you're interested in, and what times are best for you as students to host smaller formal meetings about certain programs. So if you're interested in Practice Safe Skin, we'll host a Practice Safe Skin program and give you the toolbox that you need and guide you along the journey to be successful. If you're looking for other types of programs, we're going to create similar Zoom calls like tonight, but more specialized for a particular program. So that would be extremely helpful for us and for you. So how you can get involved. And then next slide, please. Here's all our contact information. If you have any additional questions, you'd like to reach out. And that's the end of this particular presentation. We have one more presentation, and then I'd like to open it up to questions that you can either place in the chat or unmute yourself. But Deb, do you want to take it from here?
Yes, thanks, Lori. So I hope that one of the things that you're finding tonight is that you're getting a sense about who we are as an organization. Impact's been around since 1999. We started as a very local Massachusetts organization, and as of 2016 grew to have a national presence. And it's that national presence that we hope is engaging to all of you. Please put questions in the chat. We'd love to take them. If we don't get to all of them, we will definitely get to you. I'm really honored to introduce you to Chris Fay. So Chris is a medical student at Chan, UMass Medical School, and has been working with us for the past year and a half in bringing the concept of a leadership city to the forefront. So I'm very excited. The city of Worcester, Massachusetts received an award this year from us as our first Sun Safe Leadership City, meaning that they have engaged from their partners in the city council to their teachers to their park and rec, and Chris was the glue that brought these things together. So I'm going to turn this over to Chris Fay, and he can share some of his magic with you.
Awesome. All right. So hi, everyone. My name is Chris. I'm a med student that has worked with Impact Melanoma on a number of projects. I'll talk about one project tonight that is especially meaningful to me that I worked on in Worcester, Massachusetts, with support from Impact Melanoma. So next slide. So to give some background, I started med school at UMass, which is located in Worcester. It's about an hour outside of Boston. And early on in med school, I'd actually been exposed to Impact Melanoma's free sunscreen dispensers in the public garden in Boston, and which I used, and I thought they were great, but I didn't really think too much about them until a family member was diagnosed with advanced melanoma later on in med school. And my interest in nonprofits related to melanoma and skin cancer prevention efforts grew after that, and I ultimately returned to Impact Melanoma. Next slide. So I became absolutely determined to bring free sunscreen dispensers to Worcester, and I ended up working with a number of Worcester entities to do this, and this led to 15 dispensers at 11 public parks, and these were all in areas that were in or directly adjacent to high SVI areas. So this stands for Social Vulnerability Index, which is a CDC tool based on 15 factors, including poverty, limited access to transportation, crowded housing. In addition, 11 dispensers to 7 Worcester Housing Authority locations, 10 dispensers to 6 locations where the city's outdoor workers meet before starting their shifts, 10 dispensers at Polar Park with financial support from Fallon Health, which is a 10,000 seat stadium where the Red Sox minor league team plays, and then 1 dispenser for the senior center as well. Next slide.
Oops, sorry.
And so I learned a lot from this project. There was a good amount of trial and error, and I took what works and what doesn't work to try to make the ideal pathway for implementation. So I created this flowchart, but before even going into that, I want to emphasize that Impact Melanoma, Lori, and I are all here to support and guide projects start to finish, and so no one has to go through this alone. But to go through this list, the first step is really gathering the team. So Impact Melanoma, a city councilor or other government official, a health professional. And so in Boston, a city councilor was crucial to the success of the project there. And the same is the case in Worcester. And so I ended up meeting with the city councilor over coffee to talk about this project a couple times. And she became very interested and was eager to support the project, also from start to finish. After that, as a team, clarifying reasoning and gathering local public support. And then you want to aim to get some sort of initial funding to help support the project. And so you could aim for around $10,000 to $25,000, and you can look at hospital systems, insurance companies, local foundations to try and get this support. And after that, you can meet with leadership from local entities, so Parks and Recreation, for instance. And at this point, when you meet with them, you already have your team, you have support from a city councilor, you've clarified your reasoning and why you're trying to do this project and gathered local public support, and you have a little bit of initial funding to get things started. And so with all of that together, more likely to have a receptive conversation with Parks and Rec or whoever you're working with. And then after that, the next step is really evaluating available funding and establishing maintenance plans. And so by this, I mean that, let's say you're working with Parks and Recreation and public housing, and maybe Parks and Recreation doesn't have any funding available, but the public housing does. And so they're able to fund some sunscreen dispensers for their sites. And so at this point, you can start to determine the funding, which can then determine the scope of the project, how many dispensers you can bring to the community. And with that, then you can start talking about maintenance plans. So sunscreen dispensers are very easy to maintain. However, maintenance is absolutely crucial to the success of the project. And so you need someone who can go at least just quickly walk by the dispenser twice per week to make sure it's clean and presentable, and just wipe it off. And then occasionally, on rare occasions, having to refill it. And so, yeah, you cannot overemphasize the importance of establishing these maintenance plans. And you want to aim for a project that is sustainable for at least 3 years when you're having these conversations as well. And after that, once you've determined the scope of the project and discussed maintenance plans, you can do site visits in person, and you can meet with other staff at the various entities, people who will be installing the dispensers or refilling them, make sure they know how to do that. And then the next step is the exciting step where there's deployment of the sunscreen dispensers. And after that, after the first season, you can evaluate usage and modify or expand as appropriate. Next slide. And that was pretty much, I just wanted to briefly talk about that project, but I'm happy to answer any questions. And I can also open this up to Impact Melanoma, Deb, Lori, everyone else, so that everyone can answer questions.
Thanks, Chris. That was really helpful, and hopefully this gave a good overview to students that are joining us tonight. We would love to take questions from you and figure out some ways that we can work together. Let's see.
Hi, Morgan. She has her hand up.
Yep, go ahead. Hey,
Hi, all.
Morgan.
Let me take my hand down. Okay. First of all, thank you for this presentation. This was really informative and exciting to see all that you're working on. My question is for Chris, who is actually one of my classmates at UMass. And I can speak on behalf of Worcester that it's really awesome to have these dispensers in the community. I've seen some of them around, and it's really great all that you guys are doing. But my question is for basically, what went into the choice of the sunscreen to put in the dispensers, and have you received any feedback on the sunscreen choice? I'm especially thinking about like people with darker skin tones, for like the physical sunscreen can sometimes leave a white cast. And have you guys experienced any feedback on that?
I'm happy to start, and then Laura, you can take over, but I will tell you that early on, sunscreen has been the bane of our existence, because it's a very difficult question, because you're caught between people wanting all natural sunscreen, zinc and titanium, right? That's the kind of gold standard, at least on the East Coast and the West Coast. And you're right. When we first started this project, sunscreen was very thick, and you had to make sure that you had the white caulky look in order to make sure that it worked. And then we moved to, a sunscreen that was more water resistant and lighter. We've worked with those sunscreens for a long time. But you are exactly right. We're working with a couple of manufacturers now to look at what do we do around issues of skin of color, because we think this is really, not because the melanoma rates are so high, but because there are other issues around sun protection and skin of color. So you're absolutely right. We're trying to do that. One of the things that's most important is whether it's a chemical sunscreen or a natural sunscreen. It's all of these are FDA approved sunscreens. And the most important thing is that people put them on. And we understand that there are issues with, are they too thick and chalky? We think we've got a fairly reasonable middle ground right now, but we're really continuing to look for a natural, easy to put on sunscreen that goes into the dispenser, because one of the other issues is that some of those really amazingly translucent sunscreen are also way too expensive for us to be able to put in a dispenser. So those are the variables, and as well as those parts of the country where people want them to be reef safe, but they also want zinc and titanium. So lots of those kinds of issues, and it's a process that we continue to work through. Thank you for the question, Morgan. That's a really good one.
Yeah,
Thanks for that answer.
it's a tough one. It's hard. We don't know. And when we've literally walked around Boston and see people that have used our sunscreen, because you do see a hue on their face. So we're trying to balance what we do. Do you have any input?
You know, I do. The reason that I started thinking about this is because I've used them in Boston, and even for me, a person with light skin, I felt like the cast was pretty significant, and I couldn't help but think of those with darker skin tones who this would be even more of an impact. So yeah, I think just continuing the search for striking that balance of
It is a
safe
balance.
and affordable, but thankfully I think sunscreen brands are getting a little better. I've been able to find some more affordable physical barriers that are lower in price, so I'd be happy to shoot you guys an email and continue the conversation. But
Yeah,
I agree with
we'd
you.
be happy to, Morgan.
Yeah.
We're working with suppliers because we need great quantities of sunscreen, and trying to get people to formulate. And one of the issues as a result of the pandemic is that some of the raw materials have been impossible to get. So there are lots of variables, but yeah, we're trying to stay on top of it. And yeah, we'd be appreciative of any support you have.
Great. Well, thanks for indulging my question.
Oh,
There were a couple of
important.
questions in the chat about, does Impact Melanoma supply the dispensers and we find external funding? Basically, we provide the program. We will help assist you in attracting the funding and give you the tools that you need, and also some ideas of where you might find funding within your local region. So yes, we're here to help you on that. And
Chris,
then,
Chris, could you address that a little bit? Because you did an extraordinary good job in the Worcester market of finding funding, and it might be helpful for people to hear kind of who you approached and what you did.
Yeah, funding is definitely a very challenging part of the project. For the project in Worcester, I was able to get $12,000 of funding from the medical school to really get the project off the ground, and then later another around $20,000 from the medical school. But I had reached out to a number of local communities and community foundations, insurance companies, and I got a lot of no's, then later turned into yeses. So Fallon Health, for instance, initially was no when I first met with them, but then they ended up funding the ones for Kohler Park. UMass Memorial, so the hospital side, initially a no, but then they were willing to fund the Skin Smart campus. UMass Memorial also funding the No Sun for Babies. And so I think it's really about persistence and trying to reach out to as many sources as possible.
thank you.
Any other questions for us tonight? I do hope that you will take the time to go and fill out a WUFU form. We'd love to provide you with more information. We'd love to work with you on any of these projects. And Chris will be available as well for conversation. So I just want to thank you all for being here tonight. And we love working with DIG, and I really think that you all are really making the difference for a future around really managing sunscreen, skin cancer, and what we can do to keep our families and our communities safe. So thank you so much, and we look forward to working with you going forward.